Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Adam.
Coming up on today's episode, we go back to Japan in part 2 of our discussion with Chris from Wishful Thinking on everything you need to know about booking a trip to the Disney parks in Tokyo. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Adam, Mount Fuji Hummel.
Patrick, Bing Bang Bong, Sing Sang Song, Kazuki.
I like all those words. They're delicious and delightful. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. How are you doing, Patrick?
I am great. Thank you so much for asking. You know, I just completed my Princess Weekend 10K this morning, and I feel tired.
I bet you do, and thank you for bringing that up. It's almost as if it's the first item in our show notes.
It is as if that, but we have to get to how you are as well first. Otherwise, I'll feel just terrible with my day.
Oh, well, that's okay. I did nothing this morning except sweep my kitchen floors because, Patrick, sidewalk salt.
Oh, those of you who know, you know. And if you don't know, then you clearly don't care. You don't care to live in a frozen tundra like we do here in Minnesota.
Yeah, if you don't know, we're not going to take the time to explain it to you because you're not worth it.
Not true. You are worth it. Adam's a little cranky today, maybe. That's okay, though.
If you think sidewalk salt is something that should be on a bagel or used to season your food, you are incorrect.
Or maybe you're half correct.
Have you tried it?
I want to now, a little bit. Those are some big rocks.
Sea salt, no thank you. I'll take sidewalk salt.
Yeah, now that's an everything bagel.
Yeah, that's everything. It's a little bit of salt. It's a little bit of chemicals. It's a little bit of rocks from the sidewalk, dog poo. Who can say?
A little chewing gum. It's all good. Well, I'm so glad that you sweeped your floor, Adam. The world thanks you.
My feet thank me. I get so frustrated stepping on those tiny rocks. It is infuriating.
Swept? Boy, my grammar is not great.
You know what? It's our podcast. We can say whatever we want.
Sweeped, it is.
Ooh, it's very Shakespearean, sweeped. Get that iambic pentameter going.
I like it. Okay, so now, Adam, we can get to the Princess Half Marathon weekend.
Let's do it. You said you're tired. I bet there are a lot of folks out there who are feeling the exact same way. But you know what I say to all of them? Congratulations.
Congratulations. You did it to yourselves, but congratulations.
That could be applied to so many things in life.
True story. No, congrats to everyone who ran the 5K, the 10K, the half marathon, maybe all three, maybe a combination. Well done to you.
And let's see some pics. I know some of you have already been sending in your pictures, but show us those running outfits. I want to see them.
I want to see them too. Of course, some of you know that Kale from the Steamboat Willies and I are doing a hashtag run distanced endeavor. So if you use that hashtag run distanced and tag GDTD podcast and the Steamboat Willies in your post, we will repost it so the whole world or at least 10 people can see it.
At least 10.
That's right.
And congratulations again. That's quite the accomplishment, especially when you're doing it on your own, right? Because when you're in Disney World and you have all of that emotional support and you have all that adrenaline and people are running with you, it's very exciting, I imagine. But when you're doing it on your own, that takes a lot of gumption.
It's true. That's kind of why Kale and I started the hashtag run distanced, so we can keep each other connected in the community, at least via Instagram. It's very, I want to be where the people are. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations, everybody. We look forward to seeing all those beautiful photos.
Now go ice your legs. Is that what you do? Ice them?
I did this morning, actually. I took an ice bath. I will not be posting a picture of that, however, and I can't recommend that you send us those pictures. But if you want to, you can send them to @AdamHummel. Just kidding. Don't do that.
You don't even know my Instagram handle, Patrick. I thought we were friends.
It's @AdamMountFujiHummel.
There you go. You got it. Moving on, Patrick, we have some sad news to report. Disney artist Charles Boyer has passed away at the age of 86 years old.
It's true. Disney artist and Disney legend Charles Boyer.
He is, in fact, legendary. You may not know his name, but you definitely know his artwork, I promise you. It's very, I don't know if it's appropriate to compare artists, but to me, I get a Norman Rockwell vibe from it.
That's 100% sort of what he references a lot. And he actually said that he took inspiration from Norman Rockwell.
So when you have an opportunity, Google Charles Boyer Disney. There was also an actor named Charles Boyer, but we don't want to talk about him. Why waste our time with him? We want to talk about Charles Boyer, who worked in the marketing department for Disney for many, many, many years after just kind of starting out at Disney with kind of a minor job of being an artist on Main Street. And then he just kind of rocketed to success with his beautiful paintings.
That's right. He took a part-time job in the parks painting people's portraits. And then 6 months later, I think he started in the marketing department and became Disney's very first full-time artist.
His work is beautiful and so well known and really brought a finer art to Disney. Don't you think, Patrick?
It's true. Some of his paintings and portraits are the most coveted in a lot of the Disneyana collection community.
Yeah, I own 3.
I wish that you did. Because then we could fund this podcast even further.
You're not seeing a single cent of that money, Patrick.
I never expected to. That's very clear.
Not till I die. I've left it to you in my will.
Oh, thank you so much. Drink that tea. I didn't put anything in it.
So thank you, Charles Boyer, for all of your work. And you will be missed, but fortunately, we have your beautiful paintings to cherish for years and years and years to come.
That's right. Tweedles out there, do yourself a favor and go look up some of his Disney paintings and artwork. You will recognize some of them, and you will be very impressed by all of them.
Moving on, Patrick, from one art form to another, film. We're going to talk about film, Patrick, because last week, the very first trailer for Cruella premiered. The movie comes out on May 28th, 2021. Patrick, tell me, how are you feeling?
I am feeling just as I was before the trailer came out. I'm still excited about it, but hesitant about it because for me, the trailer didn't exactly push me over the edge of fully excited, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I think before the trailer, you were more excited than I was during previous discussions, yes?
I think that sounds accurate.
Do you feel like maybe we've leveled out in our level of excitement for the film?
Yes, I think our average excitement right now is, oh. Does that feel right?
That feels exactly right. Yes, choices were made in the trailer. And you know what? I have questions.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Here's what I will say. I'm excited about the art direction of it. It's pulling a little bit from the animation, I feel like, of the original 101 Dalmatians, which I'm very excited about. And it's sort of continuing that legacy of amazing costume work from the very first live action 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close.
Yeah, I mean, the look of it, Patrick, you're absolutely right. It's going to look phenomenal. It's going to take us on a journey of great design, fabulous costuming, incredible makeup. And we're very fortunate that we have Emma Stone playing Cruella, right? Because Emma Stone is a win for me. I just last night, Patrick, rewatched House Bunny, which is one of her best performances ever.
I'm not going to disagree with you. She was actually very funny in that movie.
I forgot how funny she is. Like, some of her line deliveries are brilliant in that movie.
Yeah, Emma Stone's great. Here's again where I'm still at an O with it. An O with it is that if you close your eyes and listen to her speak, it sounds like she's doing an exact imitation of Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins.
Did you know that's the surprise twist in the film?
I mean, I would not be shocked by it, but I couldn't get over it. They sound almost exactly alike.
Maybe that was her influence. Maybe that was her inspiration for the dialect.
Very possible. Very possible. Very Mary Poppinsable.
Very Mary Poppinsable. We have a lot of feedback from our Tweedles, and they are equally split, kind of / hesitant, excited for the film.
Yeah, I think on average, our Tweedles excitement is an, oh, okay.
So much more positive than us. They are truly the bright light that is moving our world forward.
At least Disney Plus. So what do you say? Let's jump into our Tweedle D feedback.
Yes, please. We'll start with Jessica, who you can find on Instagram at Jessica Breddyfab. Jessica says, I'll definitely watch, love Emma Stone, but the animated Cruella is definitely scarier.
Agreed. At least so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. And can I say one more thing? I'm actually going to say a couple more things as we go through these comments, but I'm worried, Patrick, because it seems that she's already starting at just so crazy.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying. I feel like we haven't seen enough of the first half of the movie yet. I feel like all we got were images and sound bites from the middle on.
Great point. I have to temper my emotions, but I'm just worried that we're starting off at like a 10 on the crazy meter, but I could be wrong. Maybe there's some kind of backstory that we haven't seen. Let's move on.
Let's move on indeed to Auntie Myrna writing in from Instagram at salad. Auntie Myrna says, I was this many days old when I learned that her last name was Devil, or at least spelled Devil.
So many people, Patrick, not just our Tweedles, but I saw on social media, so many people commenting, they were like, oh my gosh, her last name spells out devil.
It's true. I guess you don't really ever see her last name in print very often, and so you don't really make that connection.
Nicole on Instagram at circa 1955. Nicole's been on this very podcast. Hi, Nicole. We love your candles. Nicole says, ooh, this looks good. I'm definitely intrigued.
All right. See, bringing the excitement meter up, Nicole. I like it.
Yes, Nicole, you are a true Disney fan. You're where everyone needs to be. Our level of skepticism is just making us trash, Patrick.
Nicole, I have a question for you. I want to know what candle you recommend burning while watching Cruella.
If you're watching it at home.
If you're watching it from home, which candle should we order to infuse our nose buds while we watch it?
Although, frankly, if you're heading to a theater, Nicole's candles are very packable. You could just pack a candle for the show.
I like that. Or I guess just order the popcorn scent if you are watching it from home.
Long story short, circa 1955 candles, use them to create a complete sensory experience.
Nicole, you owe us $150. All right, moving on to Wolfie writing in from Instagram at Gray-Eyed Wolfie. Wolfie says, I'm a sucker for any strong woman in fashion. Miranda Priestley strutted, so Cruella could run.
Great point, Wolfie. Great point. There is definitely a Devil Wears Prada vibe to it. And Emma Thompson, we didn't even mention, Emma Thompson's also in the film. It's kind of like the Battle of the Emmas, it seems like.
It's true. It's very Devil Wears Spada.
Patrick.
Thank you so much.
My cheeks just flushed when you said that. It was so clever.
That's just the poison that I've given to your tea. Let's move on.
I feel more woozy than ever. Jeff, who you can find on Instagram at the Disney Parks Teacher, says, oh, here we go. This looks like the Devil Wears Prada meets Maleficent, and I am so here for it.
Yeah, it is very that for sure.
Let's hope it's more the former, though, right?
We had our issues with Maleficent, didn't we?
Just a few.
Rochelle also writes into us from Instagram at Sea Salt and Lemon. We love Sea Salt and Lemon. Rochelle says, I am so ready for this age of villain prequel stories. I just hope she remains villainous. Great point. Such a great point.
So valid for those of us that maybe aren't quite as enthusiastic about Maleficent. Yeah. Is she still going to be a villain at the end of this movie, or is there going to be some kind of twist that softens her?
I'm hoping, Adam, that they heard the feedback, because I don't think there's many people out there who didn't yell at Disney for going, why didn't you keep her a villain? That was such a stupid idea.
Did you hear that, Disney? It was stupid.
I came in hot there. I realize it now, and I stand by my choice.
This is a safe space, Patrick. I want you to fully express yourself whenever you have the chance.
All right, the Maleficent story was garbage.
Oh, Disney, you got burnt.
You burnt.
Forever Mickey's on Instagram says 3 words, Disney meets Joker.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. There's a little bit of a Suicide Squad or Birds of Prey feel to it.
Yes, I hope it's better than both of those movies.
I actually liked Birds of Prey.
I can barely remember it. I mean, Margot Robbie is definitely a talent and shines in that role of Harley Quinn, but yeah.
Fair. You heard it here, folks. But yeah, from Adam.
And Forever Mickey's is right. That shot in the trailer when the elevator opens up and she's just kind of standing there with like a decanter and her head is kind of cocked. I was definitely getting Joker vibes there, yeah.
For sure. Well, last but not least, we have Denzel writing in from Instagram at @from_Washington. And Denzel says, and I'll say very accurately, ... but how did the dogs wrong her?
That is the question of all questions.
Yeah, I think that's what we're missing from this storyline. I think there is something from the beginning of the first half of the movie that we just haven't been privy to yet. And so we don't know quite where this is going. All we have is like psychotic behavior.
She was raised by Dalmatians who eventually neglected her.
I hope that it's a very Jungle Book situation that went horribly wrong.
So Jungle Book. Yeah. And I also have a question. It seems like, am I wrong here? Is she a pyromaniac? Because there's a lot of fire in the trailer.
Yeah, hard to know. We know that she was a smoker, right? In the original, at least, and her home was called Hell House. So maybe.
It also gave me a little Eyes Wide Shut vibes, that scene where she's walking into the party with the white cloak, and then she, oh God, Patrick, she lights it on fire and it just burns off her.
It was very Hunger Games.
So many allusions to other films. What is this movie going to be?
It just cuts. It's just famous cuts from every famous movie from the last 15 years.
I would love that more than Maleficent.
She's fully going to ride a broom and catch a golden snitch. One can only hope.
Oh, all right. Well, as I said, Cruella will premiere on May 28th, 2021. Will it be in theaters? Will it miraculously be transferred to Disney Plus? We don't really know for sure yet. They said they were going to release it in the theaters, but we'll see.
We shall see indeed. Well, Adam, I believe it's time we move on to this week in Disney history.
Let me just light my cloak on fire and reveal myself and begin.
Oh, you revealed a lot. You're pulling a Patrick.
You thought it was going to be a red dress, but it's just skin.
It's just a red mess.
Honestly. Yes, that's accurate.
No. All right. Before we go off too far into the deep end, let's start this week in Disney history with 8 years ago, Adam, on February 24th, 2013, Rachel Booth wins the Disney Princess Half Marathon for the second year in a row, clocking in at 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 38 seconds, which was 33 seconds faster than her win the previous year.
Wow, I can think of nothing I can do in 1 hour and 17 minutes.
It takes me longer to bathe, frankly.
Well, that's a very sensual experience. You want to linger in that tub or shower, right?
Fair enough. For context, Tweedles out there, now I'm not a fast runner by any stretch of the imagination, but I did a 10K today and I clocked in at 1 hour and 8 minutes, and she did a half marathon in 1 hour and 17 minutes.
Listen, everyone runs at their own pace, but Patrick, get better at running.
Apparently. She runs while I stroll, maybe. I strut.
But that attitude, it's appreciated.
Yeah, strut Disney. Hashtag strut Disney.
I have nothing to say but congratulations, Rachel.
Congratulations, Rachel. Well, the story goes on a little bit, Adam, because this, however, was not the first time Rachel won 2 Run Disney races in consecutive years. She also won the Disneyland Half Marathon in 2010 and 2011, which I believe, Tweedles out there, please keep me honest, makes Rachel the only woman to date who has won 4 Run Disney races.
What an accomplishment. What am I doing with my life?
Listen, it's not for everybody, but it's certainly for Rachel.
Applause all around for Rachel. You're amazing.
Golf claps. Moving on, 91 years ago, on February 22nd, 1930, Marnie Nixon was born in Altadena, California. Most Tweedles may have heard Marnie Nixon's voice without ever knowing it, as she was the singing voice for many Hollywood leading ladies. She provided the singing voice for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, Natalie Wood in West Side Story, and Deborah Kerr in The King and I. She also appeared as Sister Sophia in The Sound of Music. It's also possible our Tweedles have heard Marnie Nixon in versions of songs from Mary Poppins and thought that they were hearing Julie Andrews. Disney used her voice as Mary Poppins on the Disneyland Records StudioCast album Songs from Mary Poppins. In fact, it has often been said that she sang like Julie Andrews more than Julie Andrews did herself. It's rumored that Marnie Nixon actually did some vocal mixing work for Julie Andrews, but that is not confirmed and likely never will be. We do know, however, that her voice was used as the singing geese in Mary Poppins and as some of the singing flowers in Alice in Wonderland. She was also the singing voice of Grandmother Fa in Mulan. And as a fun fact, her son Andrew Gold wrote the theme song, Thank You for Being a Friend, for the Golden Girls.
You know what, Patrick?
What's that?
I often wonder if she felt slighted or if she was like, just show me the checks, you know?
I have to believe a little bit of both. It was kind of done back then. Like most Hollywood actresses were not also singers. And so they did this all the time. They did it all the time. They still use other voices to come in and do mixing to singers who can't quite hit those high notes. But it wasn't until recently that her name was actually in pop culture as someone who did this.
So talented. I also know she was an incredible voice teacher, really influential and inspiring to a lot of students. So the next time you watch West Side Story or you watch My Fair Lady, give it up for Ms. Nixon because she provided the soul for a lot of those leading ladies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She was also a very prolific opera singer as well. So happy birthday, Marnie Nixon from the Tweedledees.
Happy birthday. I'm going to have cake later to celebrate her.
I support this decision fully.
A full cake.
One sheet cake.
Patrick, thank you so much. As always, that was fantastic. And we just want to let everyone know who happens to be a patron that we have a brand new episode of Gaze Do the D, raw and uncut, coming out this week.
So excited. We haven't done one in a while. We owe it to you. So here you go. You're welcome. You're welcome, patrons.
I don't know if you're welcome is the right thing to say.
I mean, we're sorry. We're sorry that we have neglected you for a month or so.
Let's always apologize up front. Yeah. You know, if you're not a patron, that's cool, whatever. But being a patron, you know, if you ever wanted to be a part of an exclusive club, and who among us has not, like, if you were wondering, I wonder what it's like to be an Illuminati. Well, let me tell you, it's like being a patron of GDTD.
That's right. It's very Club 33, only super gay.
Super gay, even more exclusive. It's really difficult to get into. But once you do break into that scene, let me tell you something. You are a Patreon member for life. You really can't escape. Some may call it a cult. I say, yeah, probably.
Not so much a cult as a secret club that indoctrinates you and makes you forget your identity.
Right. So that, not a cult, but that.
Yep. I don't want to say it's a cult, but I do want to warn you that it is a cult.
There's been some governmental investigations. We're not really going to get into it. But if you want to become a member of our Patreon family, Patrick, how can people do that?
Thank you so much for asking. You can head on over to gazetothed.com and click on that donate button, which will direct you to our Patreon page, where for as little, Adam, as $1 reoccurring a month, you too can join the Gaze to the D Patreon family member cult.
$1 a month. That seems like quite a deal.
It is the best deal in town, one might say. What does it get you, Adam? Well, we've already said it gets you extra episodes of Gaze to the D, raw and uncut.
This is a tribute to Marnie Nixon. Raw and uncut.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Now, was someone singing for you when you just did that?
You think I would hire someone to perform that poorly on my behalf?
I wish that you would have, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could have been a real greatest showman moment, but no, I did my own singing.
Well, beyond these extra special episodes of Gaze to the D, raw and uncut, you also, depending on what level of investment you put into Gaze to the D Patreon family member page, you do get some GDTD merch as well.
That's right. After your second month of membership, we're going to send you some swag.
Now, keep in mind that is if you donate at a certain tier level, but you can donate whatever you like, and we will love you all equally.
And if you don't donate at a certain level, you're going to be experiencing some tears because you're going to want that merch.
Ooh, I don't know that we should threaten people, but it's true. You will want that merch.
Just donate or we're coming after you.
Donate, don't hate.
Patrick, so successful today with all the clever sayings.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I saved it all up for just one episode, so this is it, folks.
You're listening to The Pinnacle.
You can experience the rest of my humor in 2022.
There's also, Patrick, right? Did we already say this? Exclusive giveaways?
We did not say that, and you're correct. There are exclusive giveaways for our Patreon members only.
That's right. So really, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to join our Patreon family. And to all of our patrons who already exist, thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much. Well, Adam, let's move on to something that no one has to or should pay for, and that's the news.
Yes, let's move on. I mean, do you want to educate yourself? Continue listening. If you don't, I guess fast forward, but you're going to be missing out. It's all about those facts. It's all about what's happening in the parks and in entertainment. Educate yourself. Was that too threatening?
It was a little harsh going into the news.
On the heels of last week's announcement that the Disney Park Pass reservation system, which requires guests to reserve a day pass for a specific park ahead of their trip, will be extended through January 2023, Disney World released some tantalizing tidbits regarding the resort's upcoming 50th anniversary party entitled The World's Most Magical Celebration. Category is Iridescence, Patrick.
So clever. So clever.
Honestly, Disney, you cannot pay the Imagineers enough for coming up with that.
But you should. You should pay them enough.
Pay them more. The celebration begins on October 1st, 2021, and will last for 18 months, giving guests plenty of time to make the trip and party with their pals. All 4 park icons will be getting a celebratory zhuzh and transform into beacons of magic through projection mapping and practical elements. Cinderella Castle will add to its royal makeover from last year and will feature golden bunting and a 50th anniversary crest as part of its festive new look. And Epcot's Spaceship Earth will feature new lights across its reflective panels, resembling stars in a nighttime sky. This permanent new lighting will continue beyond the world's most magical celebration as a defining feature of the park, as we saw in renderings from 2019's D23 Expo. You'll also want to keep an eye out for Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, who will have sparkling new looks for the celebration. As hosts of the event, they'll be dressed for the occasion in custom-made fashions of iridescent, again, fabric with gold highlights. And it's safe to assume a few of their pals will also be receiving new looks for the event.
Super cute. I've seen the photos of these new looks, and they are gorgeous and adorable, and I want them in plush sized.
Oh, there will definitely be plush. Yeah, very complimentary to the Cinderella Castle makeover.
Which I love as well. I was worried for a minute, Adam. I won't lie to you. We all remember that birthday cake disaster many years ago, and I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Disaster or complete success?
Listen, you say potato, I say disaster. Moving over to Disneyland, although Disneyland remains closed, cast members have not closed the door on their commitment to volunteer work. Disneyland Resort volunteers recently partnered with the Community Action Partnership of Orange County and Moms Orange County to distribute essential items to families in need. 50 Disney cast members held a drive-through donation event on Disneyland property. Over 300 families, which included almost 600 babies and toddlers, received diapers, wipes, and other babies' essentials, and plush toys from the parks. Disneyland volunteers have supported and worked alongside the Community Action Partnership of Orange County for decades, and it should be noted that they have officially donated over 5 million diapers since the COVID-19 pandemic began in early 2020. A quote from Senior Promotions Manager Lisa Whaley, "You feel like you're really helping people, some who never thought they would have needed help before. It's good to be back with our teammates from across the company, together for one common goal." At another event last week, Disneyland Resort donated 30 pallets of food, including soup, meat, and pantry items to Second Harvest Food Bank, another organization they've had a long-standing relationship with. To date, Disneyland alone has donated 500,000 pounds of food to local food banks and has provided more than $5 million of surplus merchandise to local nonprofits since the beginning of the pandemic.
That's such a great point that they make, that pre-pandemic, there was always a need for items, but you think about people who have been affected by the pandemic who probably never, ever thought that they would be in this situation, and now there's this sudden increased need because of something completely out of their control.
Yeah, so many people, and many of them possibly former cast members of Disneyland.
Oh, yeah, they're absolutely going to need that help right now. Good for these volunteers for helping out and giving somewhat of a sense of normalcy for people who are just in kind of dire straits right now.
For sure, for sure. Well done, Disney. It's good to see that, as I said at the top of this, although Disneyland remains closed, the work doesn't ever stop.
Reservations are now available for the brand new Walt Disney World Swan Reserve Hotel for stays beginning September 1st, 2021. As we previously reported, the hotel, formerly known as the Cove, is next to the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin. It's currently under construction and will have 349 guest rooms, 149 spacious suites, and 2 presidential suites. Guests will be within walking distance of Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, or can take a Disney water taxi to the parks. Features of the Walt Disney World Swan Reserve include view, an exclusive rooftop space perfect for weddings and social galas, boasting breathtaking views of Walt Disney World, a new signature Mediterranean restaurant, a grab-and-go cafe, a scenic pool area with an elevated deck and fire pit, a state-of-the-art fitness center, more than 15,000 square feet of meeting space, including 2 ballrooms and 12 meeting rooms, more than 13,000 square feet of outdoor event space, a business center, and unique Walt Disney World Resort benefits, including complimentary transportation to all 4 theme parks and Disney Springs for entertainment, shopping, and dining. Reservations can be made online right now by visiting Marriott.com or by phone at 1-888-236-2427.
I love it. I actually really love that Disney is... Not that it's a Disney hotel, but you know what I mean. They're sort of leaning into a couple of more adult-themed hotels that aren't necessarily where you would take your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the business center, the kids are going to want to see the business center, though.
There's a few cast members that I want to see their business center. You know what I'm saying? The dragon in the Animal Kingdom emblem will finally make sense with the addition of 2 new offerings in the Animal Kingdom Park. Beginning February 22nd, the animation experience at Conservation Station will include characters from the upcoming movie Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya's faithful friend, Tuk Tuk, is already expected to be a fan favorite. Part Pillbug, part Pug, and fully adorable, Tuk Tuk will be a featured character in the experience, where you'll see a behind-the-scenes look at the inspiration for Tuk Tuk with Kelly Marie Tran, who voices Raya, and Awkwafina, who voices Sisu, the Last Dragon. Additionally, on Discovery Island, artists have been working on a 40-ton sand sculpture in celebration of the film's release. The sculpture will feature Raya, Tuk Tuk, and Sisu, and is open for viewing now through the end of March 2021. Raya and the Last Dragon will be available on Disney Plus with a premiere access pass starting on March 5th.
Say Tuk Tuk one more time.
Tuk Tuk.
You fell for it.
Oh, darn it. Tuk Tuk. I can't stop saying it. It's fun to say.
That's an excellent point you made, Patrick, about the fact that, there is that dragon silhouette in the Animal Kingdom logo. And now we finally have a movie coming out that can kind of make use of that imagery.
Yeah, they sort of solved for it with Pandora and the Banshees, but now officially they have a dragon on property.
Fun fact, Tweedles, Patrick and my silhouettes were actually originally included in the Disney Animal Kingdom logo, but we were removed. It was pure erasure.
Yeah, it was very Beastly Kingdom for sure.
Beast.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
You know that old saying, one good turn deserves another conversation about Tokyo and Tokyo Disney?
Yes, I came up with that saying.
You did many, many years ago. Well, it holds true, and we're gonna speak to it today in part 2 of our conversation with Chris from Wishful Thinking.
We're going back again.
We are indeed returning to Tokyo for sort of a walk in the park, if you will, this time of Tokyo Disney Sea and some gay nightlife in Tokyo.
You know, Patrick, I just got over my jet lag from last week's episode, so I can't believe I'm willing to commit to another trip to Tokyo.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will say, Chris is absolutely right about that. The jet lag is real, folks. You lose a basic day in your life due to jet lag. So factor that in.
Yes, take your death date and subtract 1 day so you know how many days you have left.
I like it. That was grim and to the point, just like Gaze Do the D, really.
Despite the fact, Patrick, and you'll hear this in this segment, that we recorded these in kind of one go, we are recording this intro separately, so we've had a week in between the episodes, and we had so much excellent feedback. People love when Chris is on the podcast. He gives fantastic advice, and so many Tweedles wrote in to say, you know what, I feel like I can make this trip now. It's entirely doable for me. I'm no longer intimidated.
That's right. He did a great job in last week's episode, and I promise you he will in this week's episode again, of presenting something that seems so unattainable, absolutely attainable.
Like our love.
Exactly like that. In fact, you and I had been talking as soon as we stopped recording, and we're saying, I think 2022 might have to be the year that we go to Japan.
That's right. So Tweedles, if you want to come along with us, wouldn't that be fun? A group trip to Tokyo Disney?
I can't think of anything else I would rather do.
Just don't talk to us when we're in the gay clubs, because we have goals and we don't need you to try to be a part of our posse.
And for me, though, please speak to us, because no one else will.
You got to get out on that dance floor, man. You got to use your body to communicate.
Such a good story. That's where I live, on the dance floor.
That's true. Folks, if you ever get the opportunity to go out with Patrick, clear some space, because he likes to get down.
Drinks will be spilled.
Drinks will be spilled. Tea will be spilled. Speaking of spilling tea, Chris gives some fantastic tips in this upcoming segment, so be sure you're taking notes. And as if we need to remind you, Chris is a full-time authorized travel planner specializing in Disney destinations, including Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, Tokyo Disney Resort, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, and Aulani, a Disney resort and spa in Hawaii.
Is that all?
He's so focused, you know?
Just focused on those 18 things. That's all he does. But we've said it 8 million times, and we're going to say it 8 million times in every single episode of Gaze Do the Deep, possibly. But Chris's services are free of charge for you. You can use his knowledge, his breadth of knowledge, and he does it for a smile.
You can find Chris on the web at wishful-thinking.com, and you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at wishful_thinking with no eyes. So that's wishful_THNKNG.
True story. And you can also find Chris in just a moment on this episode,
appearing just like that to dispel information about Tokyo Disney Sea and Tokyo gay nightlife. So let's all snap our fingers and he shall appear. Here's Chris from Wishful Thinking and 2 other dummies.
Chris, welcome back to the pod for episode 2 of All Things Tokyo Disney.
It's been such a week.
A little behind the scenes for our Tweedles at home. We just kept the recording going, basically. This is day 1 of 8 hours for us that we're recording all about Disney Tokyo.
So if the world has ended in the time between we've recorded this, we are blissfully unaware. And we're going to treat you to a chance to escape to Tokyo, the best Disney parks on the planet.
I love it. So last week, obviously, we learned all about Tokyo Disneyland and a little bit about some things that you can look forward to on a Tokyo trip. We talked about ticket prices. We talked about some fast passes. This week, we're going to talk a lot more about some gay culture within Japan and Tokyo. And of course, everyone's favorite park, Disney Sea. Chris, let's just, pun intended, dive right in to Disney Sea. Why, Chris, is Disney Sea the best theme park in all the land?
So there's something about Disney and the experience of Disney that involves the suspension of disbelief. And when we step into a Disney park, so often we see things and then we go on to discover like, oh, that's not actually real. These brilliant Disney magicians and craftsmen have created something that fooled me. So you might see furnishings that, you know, look like beautiful mahogany, and then you go and you knock on it and you realize it's just made of fiberglass. At Tokyo Disney Sea, it's actually made from mahogany. And there's that level of detail, of incredible sumptuousness, truly, to the detail throughout the park. If you've had the chance to watch the Disney Imagineering series that was on Disney Plus, they talked about this because the Disney Imagineers were essentially given carte blanche to create an entirely new park with a very, very high budget. They took that opportunity. So it feels incredibly immersive. And each land, the way that the park is situated, the transitions from one land to another are seamless. And when you are in each land, you really feel immersed in that particular land. So I do want to take a little bit of extra time just to talk about some things. I kind of want to give your listeners the chance to picture this in their imagination. So feel free to cut me off or just interrupt with questions. But because I cherish this park so much and I've developed such affection for it, I hope that comes through. Right from the very beginning, when you arrive at Tokyo Disney Sea, there's this tremendous entry plaza with a giant globe that looks as though it's held aloft by a stream of water. This is an old trick that actually they used to have at the Enchanted Tiki Room, but they've taken that idea and just expanded it into, truly global size. After you walk through the park entry, you're in an area called the Mediterranean Harbor. We talked about this a little bit last week. I've had the chance to go to the Italian Riviera, some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. I could have blinked and thought that I was right back in Italy. So one area of the Mediterranean Harbor is the Hotel Miracosta, and you're looking at the back of the hotel when you're there. But each facade it's kind of like Disney, where each facade seems to be a distinct building. It's actually one giant structure, but it looks like it's several. Down at the street level are many Italian restaurants and shops, and there's gelato, some incredible Italian food there. And then as you explore that area, if you go off towards the left, the concept behind Tokyo Disney Sea is if they were to create multiple different waterfronts. Rather than Disneyland, they've created a Disney Sea. And so each waterfront has its own distinct character. After you head to the left, the first thing that you step into is called the American Waterfront. And this is built to look like an old New York harbor. So you've got streets that look like the architecture of New York City. There's an overhead railway line, kind of like what's now the High Line Park in Manhattan, but was formerly actually an elevated train. And there's a tremendous show here, which is an American-themed music show. Now, I'm going to send you guys a YouTube link, and if you're willing to take a minute, I want you guys just to watch. It's like the last 2 minutes of the show. It's called Big Band Beat. This is one of the toughest experiences to get into. It's very popular. They run a lottery in order to watch it. But this is a live big band jazz show with a tap dancing cast, including a tap dancing Mickey. I just want you guys to see it, and then I want to hear your actual reactions to this show. Can I send you this?
Yes, and we'll link to this video too in our show notes, so be sure to check it out for yourself.
Okay, so you guys, I used to be a tap dancer back when I was in college. I know good tap dancing when I see it. There are 2 soloists in this show that are doing choreography that's as hard as like the Gregory brothers from like the golden era back when like Chattanooga Choo Choo kind of choreography. What is your impression of this?
It strikes me that it's insane that a show like that would be, first of all, Tweedles out there, absolutely do go and watch this. Well, as Adam said, we'll have the link available for you. But it's crazy to think that is free with admission, right? It looks like you would have to pay $75 to see a show like that at least, right?
Yes. I mean, this is one of the most popular shows, but every show is performed at this level. The parade performers also are just tremendously talented, and they are doing their shows, how many different times a day. You see no sign of fatigue. I'm certainly not admitting that I've ever noticed fatigue in the cast of Beauty and the Beast live on stage, but for those who maybe are slightly familiar with that, you're not going to see that when you go to Tokyo.
Well, there's a certain amount of shade coming from you right now, Chris, and I'm here for it.
Shade is what I think most people are looking for when they sit down at the theater to watch Beauty and the Beast live on stage.
Heyo.
Anyway, if you continue through the American waterfront, there's a gigantic steamship that is the size of an actual steamship. It's the SS Columbia. On board of that ship is one of the best restaurants I've ever been to in any Disney park. It's the Teddy Roosevelt Lounge. Even if you just go in there to have drinks or some dessert, that is one of those places where the quality of the design and just the detail that's involved, it's stunning. And this is something that exploring this part of the American waterfront, I'm kind of a design nerd, and this is one of my first impressions of Tokyo Disney Sea. You see an appreciation for true art and design history in every detail throughout this park. You see that these people are not just pulling references from classic cliches of design. They have deeply researched design history. So within this area of the American waterfront, there's a tremendous version of Tower of Terror. That's another one where when I saw it's literally just the fast pass ticketing machine, but whoever designed that clearly looked at some incredible design history from the American turn of the century, probably in the US. And it's just exquisite. So the Tower of Terror here is a different story than what we have in the US. So in Florida, we've got the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Now over at Disneyland, they've themed things to Guardians of the Galaxy, but there's an all original story that's part of the Tower of Terror here, which is connected to the broader story that is now spread throughout the world. And that is the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. Do you guys know anything about this society?
Yes, I think it used to be more of a prominent thing in Disney World, particularly at Pleasure Island, but now it's kind of more quietly added to different attractions and restaurants within the States anyway, but I know it's much more celebrated in international parks.
Yeah, it's something that Disney has embraced. And you are correct. It actually was essentially created at what my favorite place to go at Pleasure Island was, which is called the Adventurers Club. This was, they've got to bring it back. But this was a club where you got to interact with a group of people who were the famed adventurers who had traveled all around the world and discovered a number of things. You got the chance to meet them, interact with them. They were sketch comedians, actually, but they were hilarious. But after the Adventurers Club closed, they took some of the stories from that venue and they've expanded on it. And so they've connected it to the Jungle Cruise. There's actually an attraction at Typhoon Lagoon here in Florida that builds on one of those characters, but they are woven all throughout Tokyo Disney Sea, including the Tower of Terror. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a character named Harrison Hightower III, who is one of those explorers. He has collected many items throughout the world. There's one particular item that's a little dangerous that maybe he shouldn't have collected. And when you explore his collection and his tremendously high towered hotel, things go wrong. I think that's all you probably need to know, but it's really cool. There's some great special effects. And then there's a plunge where,
Is this the same character that's featured in Mystic Manor in Hong Kong?
It is not, but you are correct that character in Mystic Manor is also connected to the SEA.
Okay, is this the character that's fashioned after Joe Rohde, kind of?
Yes. If you look at him, if you know who Joe Rohde is, he's a famed engineer. He just retired, but he was the mastermind, the creative mastermind behind Animal Kingdom, and was very involved in the creation of Tokyo Disney Sea. So his likeness is fashioned into that character.
That's incredible. Already, Chris, just having explored this one area of Tokyo Disney Sea, there's so many things that we've seen glimpses of. For instance, I have heard of the Teddy Roosevelt Lounge and I've seen pictures from it. And it's just so exciting to be able to finally talk about it and to have a conversation with someone who has experienced it. It just makes me want to go that much more.
And this is the thing, you guys, I think when people come back from Tokyo, you don't want to sound like you're bragging about the fact that you've experienced this incredible park. But the reason I think why it's so inspiring is because you know that Walt Disney had ideas and he had a vision, and there were certain things that were just not feasible. If you've learned about the history, Walt himself was the big dreamer and Roy was the one who's like, we can't afford that. So when you have the chance to go to Tokyo Disney Sea, it's what might have happened if someone was like, no, actually, we can't afford that.
Well, before we move on to two of my favorite topics, characters and food, Chris, are there any other key attractions that you want to highlight that are must-dos in Disney Sea?
There's a few that I would point to right away. When you first walk in, you'll notice that rather than a castle, they don't, many people refer to the various Disney parks as like a castle park. Rather than a castle, Tokyo Disney Sea has a gigantic volcano at the center called Mount Prometheus. And all around that area is called the Mysterious Island. But buried inside Mount Prometheus is what is probably considered the key kind of keystone attraction to Tokyo Disney Sea, and that is the Journey to the Center of the Earth. It is inspired by the Verne novel, but I've never read Jules Verne, and yet I still enjoyed it. It has technology that is similar to Test Track or Radiator Springs Racers, but the resemblance kind of ends there. It's the kind of attraction you don't need to know a drop of Japanese to experience and to appreciate. It's super fun. That's all you need to know. But it is one of those attractions that people tend to kind of book it for first thing after they walk in. So if you can get a fast pass for that, I would recommend it. The other attraction, sure enough, that a lot of people run for is their version of Toy Story Midway Mania. Now that one, if you've been on that in either of the American parks, I would say you can probably skip that. It's certainly a lot of fun, but that is not one that I think is truly a must-see. What I will send everyone to is in kind of the furthest back area of Tokyo Disney Sea. This is in the Arabian Coast area. This area is themed after Aladdin. It kind of feels like the Morocco Pavilion if you could just, blow it 5 times bigger. But there is an incredible attraction there called Sinbad's Storybook Voyage. Now, I did also, before we taped, I wanted you guys to hear the song that is woven through this attraction. If any of your listeners know, Alan Menken is kind of the modern Disney legend who composed the music for a lot of Disney's most incredible musicals, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. He written Enchanted and a lot of other music for Disney. He wrote an original song just for this attraction, which is based on old legends of Sinbad. It's the kind of attraction where you don't need to know the story going in and you don't need to know the song. But you guys, I sent you this song. Is it not stuck in your head now after just listening to it once?
It is, and it is so beautiful. It sounds almost Broadway in styling. It's got a beautiful kind of choral background going on in it and some really beautiful male harmonies. We'll link to it again in our show notes so that everyone has a chance to listen to it.
I just think it's great. Actually, in sending you that video and going back to it, it actually, you guys, I'm a sap. I will admit that I'm a sap, but it made me cry because the chance to go on that attraction, something that you've never experienced before, meeting characters that you don't know, hearing a song that you are maybe hearing for the first time, it taps into that childhood wonder of discovery that you may not have experienced since you were a kid and you went to a Disney park for the first time. And so I think that's one reason why so many people feel such affection for this park, because it does have many attractions. There's many other attractions at Tokyo Disney Sea which are not found anyplace else. I have to also tell you guys about the Mermaid Lagoon. And I'm a big fan of Little Mermaid. If you've seen Little Mermaid, King Triton has a castle under the sea. They've essentially taken that idea, which you see for maybe a hot second in the film, and they've built an entire structure that looks like King Triton's castle. You might not even know what to expect, but when you enter, you descend literally under the sea into this gigantic kind of indoor attraction zone there's a live theater where Ariel has a show where she's literally like swimming over your head. There's multiple kid targeted rides there, things that are kind of similar to like the teacups or what used to be called Flix Flyers over at DCA. But I just wanted to spend time in the Mermaid Lagoon just to look at everything. There's an interactive play water feature. There's a really cool gift shop inside the mouth of a whale. Sebastian has his own themed restaurant. But aside from some of this stuff, you guys, we need to talk about the characters. We need to talk about meeting characters.
We do need to talk about characters. Just going back to Mermaid Lagoon for just a second, I feel like I see more pictures of Mermaid Lagoon than any other area from Tokyo Disney Sea.
I think that's because there's nothing like it. And as soon as you see it, you're just like, whoa, we have nothing like this in any of the American parks. Beyond that, it's also the kind of place where if your kids are playing, you've got time on your hands just to walk around and pull out your camera.
Just leave them there. Good luck, kids.
Or you can just be like me. I've yet to go to a Disney park with any children of my own. I have taken my nieces, but that does not stop me from acting like I'm 5 and getting on the teacups.
Nothing should. Nothing should. Getting into characters a little bit, I was just reading actually in a recent D23 magazine that there's actually a tiger on the Sinbad attraction that has become sort of a park favorite there. Is that right?
He's so adorable. His name is Chengdu, and I wanted to take him home. Like, I am not normally one who needs to buy plush characters, but I bought a Chengdu. He's sitting. Well, right now he's very lonely without me in New York.
I'm in trouble. If I ever go. I'm probably going to buy the giant size one to take home with me. So characters, are there characters that are more celebrated there in the Tokyo parks that may not get as much attention here in the United States?
It is time for us to talk about Duffy the Disney Bear.
I had a feeling.
Do you know who Duffy the Disney Bear is? Do either of you, have you ever had a Duffy Bear?
I know who Duffy is for sure. I don't have a Duffy Bear. He's not as celebrated here in the States, but he started in Japan, right?
I actually have no idea where he started. I think that he got started in the US. I think it was something that we created, but it never really took off here. It did absolutely take off in Japan. It is fair to say that Duffy and his cast of fellow characters are equally as popular as Mickey, Minnie, and like the classic characters of the Disney parks here. So there's Duffy the Disney Bear. There's also Shelly May the Disney Bear. Stella Lou is a rabbit. Gelatoni is a cat. And I think he's Italian, or he speaks Italian. Each one of these characters has its own fully fleshed out backstory. There are animated cartoons that you can watch. I think you can watch some of them online. But there's Olumel, who's a turtle that some of your listeners might be familiar with because he normally hangs out at the Aulani Resort in Hawaii. Cookie Ann is a puppy, but not only can you meet these characters, they are meetable. Is that a word? You can line up and meet them when you go to Tokyo Disney Sea in the Cape Cod area. But it is something that many of the visitors to the Tokyo parks purchase and then bring with them when they go to the park. It is extremely common to see people literally carrying their Duffy Bear or whichever character they prefer on every attraction. You can sit down for dining and they will bring out a special chair where Duffy can have a seat. There are special, like, you know how in the American parks they've got like a photo location where they'll have like a logo of saying this is like a good location to take a picture. Duffy has his own photo spot locations throughout the parks where there's like a little shelf that you fold down where you can like sit Duffy up. They've even got like a little wire that you can, like, in case it's windy and he doesn't blow away, so you can photograph Duffy on his adventure with you through the parks. It is next level, like nothing I've ever seen. And that's just the start of things. It's also part of kind of Japanese culture. It's kind of a bonding thing for people when they go to theme parks. And this is not only theme parks, but to dress up in identical outfits. So even beyond Halloween, it's not unusual to see groups of especially teenagers where they've all dressed as maybe a Duffy character, or they've got like a Duffy accessory that they've kind of dressed in. Because it is open 365 days out of the year, there's a lot more cold weather merchandise and kind of clothes and things to wear for the winter there. So I've seen people literally dressed in like furry, fluffy versions of whatever character they love, and they're all en masse walking together in the Disney parks.
So other than Duffy, what about the classics? What about the Sensational Six? Are they there?
They are. And not only them, but a whole bunch of other Disney characters. The meet and greets are set up kind of similar to what you maybe sometimes still find at Disneyland. If a character is not like one of those like big star characters, maybe someone who is not going to draw a tremendous crowd, it's not unusual to see them just kind of show up and walk through, and they won't necessarily have a queue. They'll just kind of stand where they are. They'll interact. They'll pose for pictures. So I've seen Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl. I've seen Stitch there with Angel, who is pretty rare to see in the US. But then for the classic characters like Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, they will typically have announced character meet and greet spots and a specific schedule. So they'll have on the app, or they'll show signage to tell you what hours they're going to be there, and then they'll operate a queue. Generally, if you're waiting to meet a character there, at least in my experience, you're not waiting anywhere near as long as you typically wait to meet some of those popular characters at least in the US. But you can meet pretty much every character you're going to normally see in the US and a good number of characters who you might only see at like the Run Disney events.
Okay, well, let's move on to something that's near and dear to all three of our hearts, I believe, and to a lot of our Tweedles' hearts, and that's food. As we mentioned in the first episode in this series, food is a key component to Tokyo Disney Resort. Chris, let's talk about food in Tokyo Disney Sea specifically.
As I mentioned last week, the food quality is truly fantastic and the cost is generally lower. Not only that, there's a real variety of cuisine that's available there. You can certainly find Japanese food. There's a decent amount of Chinese food, but there's a lot of global cuisines. There's a great Mexican restaurant. There's Italian places. You can find French crepes. So you can easily find food to fit pretty much any diet. I will say that if you are vegan or vegetarian, there's notably fewer options than what they've currently got in the American parks, but like everywhere, that is expanding and you're going to find more of that, I think, in the coming years. But there's a few places I really want to point out. One of them is Magellan's at Tokyo Disney Sea, just a really great restaurant that's located in a whole fortress of exploration that I didn't get into, but if you like design, if you like pretending like you're a kid, there's an area called Fortress Explorations that is a must see. You've got to go there. Imagine if like Leonardo da Vinci could create like a playground for you where you get to understand, the mysteries of science during the Italian Renaissance. You've got to go there. But its restaurant, which is themed similarly, is called Magellan's. I've already mentioned the Teddy Roosevelt Lounge. Great restaurant, or maybe just go there for drinks. Back at Disneyland, there's a Blue Bayou restaurant, which is pretty similar to the one at Disneyland in California. I had one of the best steaks I've ever had at any Disney park, at any Disney resort. And I think I spent like $24 US for like 3 courses with a fantastically well-prepared steak. Highly recommend that. But reservations open 30 days in advance, and I strongly recommend getting advance reservations. If you don't, they do offer same-day reservations, and every restaurant does also have a standby wait queue. But another big one that I recommend is the Horseshoe Review, which is a Western-themed show. It is hilarious. There's, I don't want to spoil too much, but there's magic acts that are performed on stage. That's a meal with a live show that's included. There's also a luau show that typically happens at the Polynesian Terrace. Those are super popular, so you're going to want to try to get those reservations 30 days on the dot.
And those are both located in Tokyo Disneyland?
So both of those last two that I mentioned are at Tokyo Disneyland, and then Magellan's and Teddy Roosevelt is at Tokyo Disney Sea.
Got it. And then kind of like the snack of all snacks at Tokyo Disney Resort. I don't even know. Patrick, why am I talking about this? You are the popcorn guy, but popcorn is incredibly popular at Tokyo Disney Resort, right?
I was not excited about popcorn until I had popcorn at Tokyo Disney. You guys, I can't, I can smell the smell of the aromas that are coming from the stand outside Pooh's Honey Hunt. It smells like honey. I can smell the chocolate that's coming outside of the chocolate popcorn. Like, you guys, people are addicted to this stuff, and you will understand why when you taste it. You know that concept of umami?
For sure, yeah.
Popular all throughout Japanese cuisine, they've applied that concept to their popcorn because the lines of people waiting indicate that there's something they really want. You guys, it's just good. They've typically got at least 7 flavors, sometimes as many as 10, depending on how busy the park is. But their flavors include black pepper, they've got a caramel, they've got a soy sauce and butter, which is very, very good. They've got curry, salt, sometimes matcha with white chocolate. But you can get a souvenir popcorn bucket that includes cheaper refills. So many times you'll see people who have actually accessorized their outfit with a popcorn bucket that they wear as like a necklace around their necks, and then they just nibble on popcorn throughout the day. This is a good time to mention one of the things that's different about Japanese culture is that it is rude and uncommon to walk and eat at the same time. So when you're exploring other places in Japan, you'll notice that even if it's like a Starbucks, the kind of classic to-go situation, people will sit and enjoy their food and then get up and walk. The big exception for that is the popcorn. So you can fill your popcorn bucket. It gives you something to nibble on when you're waiting in the queues, and it's extremely popular.
I love it. I found my happy place. I need to go there for sure, just for the popcorn.
The other snack that I would recommend, but I cannot promise will be there, is the Chengdu tail. That same character that we talked about from Sinbad's Voyage. He's his tail is the inspiration for a steamed bun, usually with different kinds of fillings. Typically, it's like a chicken or like a curry flavor filling. I don't want to recommend too many other specific snacks because one thing I've noticed going back from year to year is that they mix it up. So, something that you might really look forward to getting when you go back might have been replaced by some new discovery. I've certainly been sad when the thing that I was craving for my last visit wasn't available, but then sure enough, I discovered some brand new thing that was even more incredible. There's a lot of versions of mochi, the Japanese snack mochi. It's not uncommon to see a version of mochi that looks like Mike Wazowski. It's like green. Again, you could just give yourself extra days just to eat the kinds of foods that you can find at the Tokyo Disney parks.
So something about Disney World is that they are pretty well known for having this prepaid dining package that you can get before you even make your parks reservations. You can get a dining package, and then you don't have to worry about purchasing food. Is that available in Tokyo as well, or is it sort of a la carte?
It is not. Things are changing, and they are constantly making new changes to their packages. But right now, they do not have a dining package.
Got it. So you have to pay for each individual kernel of popcorn.
No, but when we get into customs and etiquette, I do want to talk about payment because there is kind of a whole thing around how you pay for things in Japan that you need to take some time to learn about.
Well, let's talk about that right now. We are citizens of the United States, and we are stubborn and have very specific ways we do things that are not necessarily acceptable to other cultures around the world. So, Chris, you really need to be our guru and walk us through this. I am terrified of making some kind of faux pas when I visit an international country, and specifically when I'm at a Disney park in an international country. So let's talk about the culture. What do we need to be aware of? And what do we need to be careful of when we're visiting a country like Japan so we don't make fools of ourselves?
So one of the first things you'll learn as soon as you set foot in Japan is they're absolutely accustomed to Americans showing up and looking stupid, and they will never shame you for it. The Japanese are some of the kindest and most genuine, truly hospitable people that I've ever met. And I've had the chance to travel throughout Japan. So I know that it's not just Disney, it's Japan. So you will see a willingness and an eagerness to care and go out of their way, truly go out of their way. I once left a bag with a lot of expensive ski equipment in a taxi. The people who got into the taxi after me had the taxi circle back to the airport. They took the bag out of the taxi. They took 5 minutes running through the terminal of the airport to find me and give it back to me. I've got more stories like that of things that have happened in Japan. So even if you do something stupid, like there's a kindness that is there. That said, I do think that it's important to understand a few of the differences within Japanese culture and just to be respectful. So one of those things is notion of gratitude. You will see that the Japanese, they bow when they enter and when they leave a conversation, and you might feel a little awkward at first, but you'll notice that it soon becomes habitual just to greet everyone with just a simple bow. It's not only expected, it becomes this kind of recognition of one another that's really lovely. I know that many visitors are going to be intimidated about the thought of everything being in Japanese. It certainly can feel like you've stepped into a very foreign land when you first arrive, but you'll notice that there's English translations located everywhere you really need them. That said, I would encourage people to learn at least a few Japanese phrases. The most kind of crucial one is going to be thank you, how to say thank you. And it's arigato gozaimashite, which usually, you'll hear so many times throughout your visit that you'll end up learning it pretty quickly. There's some other customs that are just they're kind of fun to learn. Like when you order sake, for example, you never pour your own sake. You pour sake for the person you're dining with, and then they pour yours. We talked about having something to sit on at the various parades and some of the shows. It certainly, would be respectful for you to have that. Another thing that people probably should learn about is how you pay for things. When you go into a store or like a kiosk, maybe a convenience store, when you hand your money or you hand your credit card to someone, you should use two hands. When they hand it back, they'll use two hands with you. Again, if people visit my website, wishful-thinking.com, I've got a guide that I can send you for free that outlines some of these things. And I would be happy to help anyone plan a trip to Japan. So I can give you all of these insights and others as well. But the Japanese culture certainly puts a prize on respect for one another. The work ethic is like nothing I've ever seen. And there's really just a generosity of spirit that kind of flows throughout every place you visit.
That is all super helpful. I'm sure there's many, many more things to learn, and we will go to your website, of course, for that, and maybe check out some books or at least do some research online. And speaking of doing some research, Chris, you have done us the gay pleasure of doing some gay research for us in terms of gay nightlife in Japan and maybe even Tokyo proper. Walk us through that a little bit. We've left the Disney parks and now we're looking to get our drank on. We're looking to get our dance on. Where are we going?
I think it's important for us to take a moment to talk about the differences in culture when it relates to gay couples and the politeness that we described. Shows of affection are extremely rare within Japan. And so if you are traveling as part of a same-sex couple or as a straight couple, it doesn't really matter. Shows of affection are generally frowned upon and you won't really see that. That said, if you are gay and they know you're gay, gay folks are warmly welcomed and you will, it's very rare to experience discrimination or anything that would make you feel out of sorts. In certain hotels, you may need to specifically say that you'd like to have a king room or that you only need one bed. They might assume if you're traveling as part of a same-sex couple that you want a room with two beds. So you might need to go ahead and say, no, we do want one bed. But discrimination is really, really rare. That said, the discretion of the LGBTQ community is notable within Japan. Although it's a sizable community, it's not as visible as you might see in a major world city like New York or London or Paris. And so you might start to feel like there are no queer people until you show up at the gay nightclubs or the bars. And then it's really kind of terrific. You're like, oh, wait, these folks have been around me all the whole time. I just didn't know. There is one neighborhood called Shinjuku, and there are several bars there they've been around for a long time. Nightlife, gay nightlife famously can change very quickly. But if you can make it to the bars within Shinjuku, a few have been around for so long. One of them is called Dragon Men. Another one is called Arty Farty, literally ARTYFARTY. I've had the chance to go to both of those. But as some visitors to Tokyo might know, there are certainly some bars that are more accommodating to Western visitors than others. So you'd be more likely to find bartenders who speak English, more likely that when you're paying cover at the door, you understand what's going on. And these places that I just mentioned are certainly very accustomed to expats. When we were there was a whole crew of people that had just gotten off a Delta flight who were all the flight attendants from Delta who are getting their weekend on. And there are other bars, if you do speak Japanese, there are other bars that are smaller that might be something you'd like to go explore. Tokyo has tons of really small bars. Some of them are literally located in skyscrapers where you take the elevator up and like the bar is up on the 5th floor. When you walk into the building, they'll have a list of all of these bars that are located in multiple floors. Like, we're not used to that in the US. And then if you go to one of those bars, there might be, just enough room for like 10 people. If you are fortunate to speak Japanese, those spaces might be more available to you and appealing to you. If you don't speak Japanese, that's probably not someplace you should focus on. But if you do make it into one of the gay bars or clubs, the Japanese, that same kind of friendliness that I described is certainly all the more true when everyone's drinking and dancing. So you can make some great friends very quickly.
Well, I'm sold. Patrick, are you sold? Are we going?
I was sold as soon as the word popcorn was said, so I'm good.
Okay, good to know. Chris, Patrick and I, we want to go. We've wanted to go before we did these two segments. You've absolutely locked in now our commitment to making this trip, and we'll absolutely use your services to book this trip. How do we make this happen? Let's talk details. Let's talk reality. Get us to Tokyo, Chris.
Let's get practical. The reality is that plane there, for most people that are coming from North America, that flight there is going to be your business expense. And it's also the one that can really vary the most. So I've got a few tips on how to save on airfare. First off, it's important to realize that flights from the West Coast are almost always going to be quite a bit cheaper than flights coming from the East. Many flights depart from California, specifically LAX. So if you can get yourself on a cheaper flight to LAX and then fly direct from there, you're probably going to save money. Beyond that, there are a number of carriers that do have connecting flights, some which connect in Hong Kong. There's a few which connect in Hawaii. If you're willing to connect and not sit on one plane for 10, 11 hours, some people don't want to be on one flight for 10 hours, which I can understand. If you're willing to take a connecting flight, you can often save money that way. But typically, the easiest way to save money is to fly from California. Before I talk about airports to fly into, I want to just take a minute to explain the kind of general layout of Tokyo. Tokyo Disney Resort is located all the way down in the very edge of Tokyo Bay. So it's not like it's right in the middle of Tokyo. It's a good hour away from central Tokyo on a train. And pretty much anytime you're trying to get around Tokyo, you're going to be relying on the trains. Getting in a car just means you're getting stuck in traffic. So riding the trains is great. Everything has English translations. Everybody loves the train. But because Tokyo Disney Resort is located pretty far from these other sites that I've recommended in Tokyo, most people choose to spend their Tokyo days with a hotel kind of in Tokyo proper and then stay down at Tokyo Disney Resort area for the days that they're doing the Disney visit. So with that in mind, there are 2 airports to choose from at Tokyo. And if you fly into one of them, you're going to be a little bit closer to the locations, the accommodations that you're likely to have. And that is Haneda, Haneda. That is the airport that I personally recommend if you're able to get a flight there. And it's just because the transit between Haneda into Tokyo is a little bit easier. But there are still many good flights to Narita. It's a little bit further away, but it's also a fantastic airport. Honestly, if you get a good deal, take a deal whenever you see it. But you need to take a moment before you travel to understand the train system and recognize that you're going to be relying on trains to get around. So when it comes to choosing your airport, choosing the hotel where you stay, choosing and plotting out your itinerary, being someplace that is near one of the main train stops is going to really help you. Tokyo has multiple train systems. It's kind of like, imagine if New York City had the New York City subway, but then also had 2 other competing train systems that were also accessible within New York. That's kind of how things work in Tokyo. There's not just one rail line, but you can purchase a pass, which is valid on any of the Tokyo train systems. You can also purchase what's called a rail pass, which not only is valid in Tokyo, but also can give you access on the bullet trains to visit some of the other cities if you decide to include, for example, Kyoto or Osaka during your stay. So takes a minute to learn about the trains. Once you've chosen your airport, you've chosen your flight, you're going to just give yourself some extra time once you've arrived in Tokyo to adjust to the time zone, and then you'll be ready to go.
Just from kind of looking into, for fun, looking into a trip to Tokyo, it can seem overwhelming. And, I looked at the trains and I looked at which airport to fly into. And, Chris, you're very reassuring just to hear that, if you do your research up front and use you as a resource, this sounds like a very doable experience, a very enjoyable experience, and will alleviate a lot of stress by using the resources you have at your disposal.
It truly is an international destination. They are not unaccustomed to people showing up who don't speak the language. They've also now done a lot of preparation for the 2020 games. So all of that English stuff has been deeply embedded throughout all of their train systems, the signage. And when I'm talking about English, literally, you get on the train and there's an announcement in English that tells you what the next stop is. Not only that, the trains have displays that tell you all of the stations that are coming and exactly what time you're going to show up at each train stop. The trains in Japan are amazing. And we haven't even spoken about the bullet trains. Traveling on a bullet train in Japan is luxurious. It is incredible. When you experience it, it just makes you wonder, why don't we have this stuff in the US? Oh, wait, you guys, there's a whole thing we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about the toilets.
I'm glad we're getting to this now. The most crucial topic of this whole 2 episodes that we've done. Toilets, Chris, go.
How did I not tell you guys about the toilets? You guys, the toilets in Japan are like nothing you've ever experienced, and you're going to want to renovate your home the moment you get back. So if you're familiar with the idea of a bidet uses water to clean you after you're done. Now take that and put it into a mechanized seat, which not only offers the water cleansing feature, but it maybe also involves temperature adjustments. Maybe it plays music. It might offer a massage water jet that is available to you. I think it is fair to say that it is such a transporting experience that you will probably spend more time sitting on the toilet with more satisfaction than maybe you might have ever felt before.
So now popcorn is my number one reason to visit, and the toilets are my number two.
Number two. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've worked on that all day long. Chris, this has been incredibly helpful, not just the toilet information, but everything that you've talked about in part one and now part two of our Gaze to the D, Go to Japan episodes. Thank you so much. We do have one final question from our tweedle Denzel on Instagram from _Washington. And Denzel asks, what's something people often overlook that we definitely shouldn't when planning this trip?
So now that we know about the toilets, we know they're not to be missed.
A mist, that's another option. They've literally got a mist.
Oh, dear.
I think that's a great question from Denzel. To be honest, I think many visitors who have accustomed to going to Disney parks, we've got this list of things we really want to do. We typically think of our time at Disney as getting on attractions and going from ride to ride. But the amount of theming and clever creativity that is woven into all of the details of these Disney parks. When I went back the second and third time, I took a moment to explore more of that, and it made me realize how much cleverness is woven into these parks. I don't know if you've ever been on a queue for many Disney attractions. Sometimes there might be a sign where there's some, fine print. And if you take a moment and you read the fine print, you discover like, oh my gosh, somebody wrote something really funny there. There's a little detail there that's making me laugh. So that level of detail is especially woven into all of the areas of Tokyo Disney Sea. I wish that I had given myself extra time there just to experience all of the different atmospheres and look at all those details. So there's one area that I didn't even see the first time I did it because I walked right by not even knowing it was there. But there's an explorer's area in the Mediterranean harbor, kind of by Mysterious Island, where you're invited to explore an old fort full of incredible displays. It's almost as if Leonardo da Vinci had created a playground to introduce children to the things that he was discovering about the astronomy, the way that the planets work. But there's kind of this tremendous series of challenges that you can do. It's actually a way to become a member of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers if you complete all of the challenges. But the level of detail in that area is truly astonishing. And there's so many details like that throughout these parks. I wish that I had given myself extra time just to take and really savor each moment.
Well, Chris, we cannot thank you enough for joining us over these two episodes to talk about not only planning a trip, but also to share what we can get excited for when we're there visiting Tokyo Disney Resort. Your information, as always, has been incredibly invaluable. And we want to encourage all of our Tweedles, if you're at all even considering taking the trip, making the jump, making the leap, going to Japan, please reach out to Chris because, as you know, he will be able to provide you with the information that you truly need and provide a level of comfort. When you're making such a monumental international trip, it can be very intimidating. I'm certainly very intimidated by the idea of traveling, but just the conversations we've had over these past two episodes, it's been so reassuring. I feel so much more confident. But again, reach out to Chris if you have any questions, if you have any concerns. And obviously, if you're going to be booking the trip, if you're going to make that commitment, take advantage of Chris's fee-free services. Chris, how can people find you online?
So I've got a website, wishful-thinking.com. You can go there. There's actually a ton of info there all about Walt Disney World. I've been lucky to spend some time in Orlando since everything is reopened. So I've got a lot of on-the-ground details about the way things really are right now. A lot of folks have got their eye on Walt Disney World for the big 50th. But I do think it's a good idea to even start thinking now about Japan for after the pandemic is over. So if you go to my website, I've got a section there where you can just click to sign up and you can get our free information about Japan. Beyond that, once everything is back running for the cruise ships, Adventures by Disney, all of that stuff, I'm able to assist with all of those vacations. And again, it's the same price as if you were to book it on your own. So use me. I went to these places and took all these notes for something. I want to be able to use them. So it's been great to finally have the chance to talk about this with you guys.
Yes, absolutely. We can't say it enough. Use Chris and the services at Wishful Thinking. As we said a million times before, they are free of charge. And we especially know that here at Gaze to the D because we are not paying you for these episodes, Chris.
Nope, I just like to talk.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
We've reached the end of this episode, and that means it's time for some quick D, my friend.
Hallelujah.
Yes. We actually have a Tweedle submitted question, actually a pair of Tweedle submitted questions for this segment. Auntie Myrna, I'm telling you what, Auntie Myrna loves to submit questions. We appreciate the submissions. We want to remind all of our Tweedles, send us your quick D questions. We'll answer anything.
True story. Do you need some advice? Do you need to know what our favorite mythical creature is? Let us know. Send in those questions.
Let us know, and we'll let you know. And you can submit those questions by reaching out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or send us those questions via email or voice memo at info@gazetothed.com.
Can you imagine? Can you simply imagine if you were listening to an episode of Gaze to the D and we got to Quick D and suddenly you could hear your very own voice on this very podcast?
It's all any of us imagine, Adam.
It's the dream. It is the dream. Patrick, I'm going to ask you Auntie Myrna's question for you first. Did that even make sense?
It made so much sense, I can't even believe it.
Okay, so she sent us two questions, one for me to ask Patrick, one for Patrick to ask me. People, it doesn't need to work that way. You can just send one question and we'll answer that. It equals a shorter segment, and aren't we all grateful for that?
Everyone's grateful for that.
Patrick, Auntie Myrna asks, Disney bought the rights to the Golden Girls and are rebooting the show. Well, we know, Patrick, just this very week we learned that Golden Girls is going to be on Disney+.
True story. Very exciting. Cheesecake for everyone.
Sidebar, Patrick, how come Golden Girls gets a pass, but a show like Love, Victor is not allowed on Disney+?
No one knows the answer, Adam. Nobody knows the answer to that.
Because horny old ladies are somehow acceptable.
Apparently, Adam knows the answer to that.
I mean, I love horny old ladies.
Oh boy, we must move on.
Myrna asks, which Disney characters are being cast in the reboot of Golden Girls for Dorothy, Rose, Blanche, and Sophia?
Well, I think we need a retitle of the show based on the new cast with Disney characters, and that show is called The Silver Daddies.
You got real specific so quickly, and I'm very excited where this is going.
I think we all know King Triton will be the first cast member to sign on for The Silver Daddies.
Okay, and hypothetically, in this scenario, who is his equal in the Golden Girls?
Such a good question. I think King Triton has to be Blanche.
Blanche. All right. Yeah, he is a Southern belle who likes to get it on.
I want to see a Randy King Triton.
I don't even know how that would work with his lower mer half, but let's figure it out.
Moving on, replacing B. Arthur's character, Dorothy, I believe, right?
Yes, Dorothy.
We are getting Captain America, but when he comes back as an older man.
Still hot.
Still hot, so quite tall. Still a husky voice, just like Dorothy.
Still fills out a pair of khaki pants, just like Dorothy.
He may discover he likes wearing caftans. Who knows?
Captain America in a caftan? Caftan America?
Captain Caftan.
Disney, that's a free idea. Feel free to take it.
Please take it. Please remove it from our heads.
No, I want to show up in the parks in a Captain Caftan.
Fair. That's fair enough. Moving on, replacing Sophia, we have Carl from Up.
Excellent choice, Patrick. Old, cantankerous, funny. I'm on board with that choice.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Betty White's character.
Rose.
That's right. We have Rose.
Oh, Sophia. St. Olaf.
That was a wonderful impersonation.
It's my tribute to BW. You're welcome.
You got to work on those tributes, Adam. They're supposed to make people feel good.
It's more about the idea, the spirit of the gesture, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Replacing Rose will be Merlin from Sword in the Stone.
Okay. You know, interesting. 2 of your choices have dazzling white beards.
Well, that's why they're the Silver Daddies.
I love it. And the magical element, come on, what a twist. What an unexpected addition to the happenings of the show.
Well, he's already sort of wearing a caftan, and he's also not quite the smartest person in the room, right? He is an aged wizard, right? But he's a little bit clunky on his delivery.
That's a perfect cast. You've really outdone yourself with this one, Patrick.
The Silver Daddies coming at you in May 2029.
I like that you gave a cushion there for development.
Yeah, I need to spend some casting time with Captain America. You know?
Oh, in his captain caftan. I'm telling you, that's going to take off.
The caftan's going to take off, you know? It's going to be taken off him.
All right, Patrick, where's my question?
Well, Adam, you have a very similar question from our Auntie Myrna. Your question is, Disney bought the rights to Sex and the City, and they are planning on rebooting it and also making it PG-friendly. What is the new name of the show, and who is playing Carrie, Charlotte, Samantha, and Miranda?
Well, as the showrunner, I'm going to say no to the PG rating. I can't allow it. I need to stay true to the source material, even though I'm recasting it.
Great. The choice is yours.
Carrie is going to be played by Edna Mode.
A fascinating choice. Can you explain yourself?
Everybody's going to think, hey, isn't she more of a Miranda? But I say no. I need to see a real grounded fashionista in the role of Carrie. You know, I mean, Carrie had all those amazing fashions, all of those Manolo Blahniks that she drooled over. But can you imagine Edna Mode? What a twist. Edna Mode as Carrie.
I can't imagine it, and now I'm on board. You've sold me.
Thank you so much. Samantha is going to be played by Roz from Monsters, Inc.
Another interesting choice. I like it. I like that husky voice, though, so I'm into it.
Yeah, and all those sex puns she's going to make. It's really going to bring a new light to the character of Samantha.
A darker light, to be sure.
Charlotte's a tough one, Patrick, because she's seemingly innocent, but, you know, kind of erratic. She's definitely a chaotic neutral in the whole situation. But Charlotte is going to be played by Miss Bianca from The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under.
An inspired choice.
So far, I mean, this cast, am I killing it?
You're killing a lot of people's dreams right now, yeah.
Kind of like choking the life out of this idea.
That's exactly correct.
And last but not least, Miranda.
My favorite character.
Business, pleasure, mother, lawyer, short haircut, lesbian in real life.
The dream.
Miranda will be played by none other than Percy from Pocahontas.
I like it. A little stuck up.
Mm-hmm.
You could offer that Percy is the lawyer of the movie, you know?
I've always thought that. Haven't you always thought that?
Yeah, that's what I have in my show notes every time I watch it.
Exactly, because we all take notes when we watch Disney movies.
Every time, every single time.
Well, wow. I mean, successful. I would argue maybe my cast is a bit more successful than your cast, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. I would also argue with you on that.
How do we greenlight these shows? Do we just reach out to Disney? Should we just move to Hollywood and take meetings? Is that how it works?
I think we travel back to the 1990s when they were greenlighting every single thing.
So go back in time, pitch our shows, become successful millionaires. Or, Patrick, we just continue podcasting.
Not as fun. I'm gonna pitch mine as a Disney cartoon though, because you know it's gonna get greenlit then.
Silver Daddies, the cartoon series.
I mean, I'll watch it every Saturday morning. Some cereal and Silver Daddies, and a cereal line, the Silver Daddios.
See, that's where you're going to be successful. Marketing tie-ins, Patrick.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon.